Coming up in tonight's show, we cover the bizarre behavior of liberals attacking Judge Barrett in the Senate confirmation hearings, the left's reaction to President Trump's immunity from COVID, the peculiar coup d'etat attempt by Nancy Pelosi, as well as the scandal of tech giants censoring the Hunter Biden bombshell email and the dreadfully biased Trump-Biden town hall duels. This is the Dr. Jaymz Show. While most of the time the Senate confirmation hearings have been as exciting as watching PBS NewsHour, there were a few dramatic moments of liberals attacking Judge Barrett, which were about as effective as a sumo wrestler swimming against Michael Phelps. Liberals couldn't attack Judge Barrett with fake sexual assault claims because she's a woman, and they couldn't smear her as a racist because she adopted 2 black children. So how exactly did they attack her? Well, none of their attacks had anything to do with the job she'll be doing.
Do you accept that COVID-19 is infectious?
I think, yes, I do accept that COVID-19 is infectious. That's something of which I feel like, we could say you take judicial notice of. It's an obvious fact, yes.
Do you accept that smoking causes cancer?
I'm not sure exactly where you're going with this, but, the notice that smoking causes...
The question is what it is. You can answer it if you believe yes or no.
Senator Harris, yes, every package of cigarettes warns that smoking causes cancer.
Do you believe that human beings cause global warming?
Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator Hirono.
These were bizarre questions, to say the least. So bizarre, in fact, that I'd like to know how stoned Hawaii voters were when Senator Mazie Hirono was elected. The question she asked was fit for a social work applicant, not a Supreme Court judge nominee who's been an attorney, a jurist, an academic, and a circuit judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals. But the liberal mob didn't end there. They tried to nail the judge on her Christian faith, even when Article 6 of the Constitution says there is no religious test for office. When that attack didn't work, they confronted her on Obamacare, birth control, would you believe, Roe v. Wade, and the Constitution. I mean, that's a little like the student trying to school the professor.
Is Roe a super precedent?
How would you define super precedent?
I might have thought someday I'd be sitting in that chair. I'm not, I'm up here.
And Senator Sheldon went to the extreme of taking out his props out to school the judge on a history lesson without even asking a single question for 30 minutes.
On the Judicial Crisis Network, you've got the Leonard Leo connection. Obviously, she hopped in to take over for him with the Federalist Society.
Was he mansplaining? By Jove, I think he was. What these Dem senators actually showed is that they are only pro-women who share their views. Judge Barrett did such a remarkable job answering questions with the case law knowledge of an encyclopedia that Senator Cornyn had to ask her what was written on her notepad.
Most of us have multiple notebooks and notes and books and things like that in front of us. Can you hold up what you've been referring to in answering our questions? Is there anything on it?
That letterhead that says United States Senate.
That's impressive.
It's funny how Judge Barrett didn't need any help with notes, while Joe Biden needs help reading a teleprompter.
And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing.
And when Cory Booker, a.k.a. Spartacus, questioned the judge, it was somewhat of a performance theater. He spent over 20 minutes trying to educate the judge on law, liberty, and the meaning of, wait for it, counting the bubbles in a bar of soap.
Can you count the bubbles in a bar of soap? You're familiar with that, I'm sure.
Was he mansplaining? Yes, Your Honor. Guilty as charged. What this all shows is that leftist liberals are, as the Aussies would say, balmy as a bandicoot, or as the legendary Margaret Thatcher put it.
The one thing about left-wing politicians is they're always fanatical. They never let go. It's their religion. They go on and on.
Now that we've dispensed with the Senate confirmation hearings, Let's move on to more weightier matters. The day after standing maculous on the balcony of the White House before a crowd packed shoulder to shoulder, last Sunday, President Trump announced to the world in an interview with Fox News that he is immune from COVID.
Like I'm immune for, I don't know, maybe a long time, or maybe a short time. It could be a lifetime. Nobody really knows, but I'm immune, so.
What would be really funny is if liberals had to get vaccinated with antibodies taken from Trump's blood. Now, I wonder what that would look like. Days after being released from hospital after treatment from COVID, Trump's doctor released a statement saying the president had tested negative on consecutive days. Trump tweeted, "That means I can't get it and I can't give it." But Twitter then promptly attached this warning to Trump's tweet, suggesting the president was spreading misleading and potentially harmful information. But hang on. If you no longer have the virus and lab tests confirm you have COVID-19 antibodies, the truth is you can't get it, and if you don't have it, you can't give it. This is another example of how social media is being militarized by tech giants who flex their muscles to suppress facts, resulting in fake narratives being believed by millions. Next, we look at the peculiar coup d'etat attempt by Nancy Pelosi to take down the president. Just days before a presidential election, she advocated using the 25th Amendment to remove Trump when he was diagnosed with COVID. Instead of supporting another stimulus package that would help struggling families and small businesses all across America, here she is obsessed again on removing Trump. She started with the Russia hoax, then impeachment, and now this. The real virus that won't go away is Pelosi. Just when you think she's gone, she's back.
There is a plan. And the plan isn't for the president to say that he's a perfect physical specimen. Did he say specimen? Maybe I could agree with that. And young. He said he was young.
Pelosi is the one who should be under observation, not Trump. She doesn't care less about the American people or the great American worker. The big story here is that there is bipartisan support for a second stimulus, but Pelosi is blocking it. Just 2 days ago, she dismissed a new coronavirus relief plan from 50 Democrats and Republican lawmakers. Currently, millions of Americans are left with no federal funding as the money provided in the previous act has been mostly used. The new framework would extend payouts to those who've lost their jobs due to the pandemic, offer $25 billion to address the looming eviction crisis, and will provide $100 billion for healthcare programs. Pelosi needs to stop playing politics with people's lives and approve that much-needed stimulus now. On Wednesday, a bombshell revelation was published in the New York Post about email evidence proving Hunter Biden involved his dad in his business dealings with Ukrainian energy firm Burisma back in 2015, a time when Joe Biden was vice president. This blockbuster correspondence flies in the face of Joe Biden's claim that he's never spoken to his son about overseas business dealings.
How many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
So when Joe Biden met with Przowski, one of Burisma's top executives, what did they talk about? I wonder. Was it the creepiest thing they've ever done? I mean, Biden shouldn't have a problem with that one. Or is Michelle Obama really sexy? Nothing of the sort. It would likely have been how Biden can use influence to help the energy firm Burisma. In fact, one of the emails uncovered asked Hunter for advice on how he could use his influence to stop what Burisma executives regarded as politically motivated actions. Then less than a year later, Joe Biden uses his influence to pressure the Ukrainian government into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company by threatening to withhold $1 billion US loan guarantee, something that Biden has already admitted to. What's more disturbing is that when this bombshell was published by the New York Post, Facebook and Twitter blocked people from sharing the story on their social media. And now the Senate is set to subpoena Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey over the scandal. And I suspect Mark Zuckerberg's subpoena will follow. What we are watching, the militarization of social media on behalf of Democrats and the overt suppression of material damaging to Democrats to the cheering of the press, is one of the most dangerous political moments of our time. It is not the role of the media to endorse candidates. Our final segment tonight is the dreadfully biased Trump-Biden town hall duels. Yes, the deck was stacked. Coverage of Biden was by ABC News in Philadelphia with soft moderator George Stephanopoulos, which was like watching an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And Trump's duel was covered by NBC in Miami with hard moderator Savannah Guthrie, whose questioning seems similar to a Gestapo interrogator.
I'm sure they'll ask you the white supremacy question. I denounce white supremacy. Okay. And frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa, and I denounce these people on the left that are burning down our cities that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're doing.
While we're denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon.
I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know.
You did have an op-ed in January where you warned of the seriousness of the pandemic, but there's no record of you calling for social distancing, limited social gatherings, mandatory masks.
Not back then.
In January, February.
No, in January, February. No, that's correct. There wasn't. That came at the end of March, and then I laid out a detailed plan relative to school openings in June and July.
Again, we're witnessing an overt media bias against the Trump campaign. Guthrie was blatantly hostile, while Biden's duel was like an infomercial, with Stephanopoulos giving him a free pass on the Biden-Hunter email scandal. But when you look at their ties, it all makes sense. Stephanopoulos was a top member of Bill Clinton's presidential campaign, and Guthrie's husband is a former Democratic political aide. It's absolutely insane how many people in the corrupt, bought and paid for corporate media have ties, directly or indirectly, to Democrat politicians. It's time for Americans to see through the charade of corrupt media and become informed voters on November the 3rd. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications to watch the next Dr. Jaymz show, exclusively on WhatTV, which is going to be crucial as we draw closer to one of the most important presidential elections in modern history.